Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Super excited for today's presentation. So we have a packed agenda, but we're going to talk about policy-driven. So from a policy-driven to customer-centric approach in the insurance industry. So very excited. So let's start this by some presentation. So I'm Sebastien from Solutions Metrix. I'm super pleased to be with some important guests for me. So all excited. So we have SVP and Chief Brand Officer and Commercial Officer for Saskatchewan Blue Cross. Hi, Megan.
Hello. Clearly, I need a new headshot. I've gone from red to blonde, but it's lovely to see you all virtually.
Great. And I'm also pleased to have Eric Hale, who's Vice President of Financial Services for Creatio. Hi, Eric.
Hey, Seb. Glad to be here. Happy to join.
Excellent. Perfect. So we'll go quick, just some introduction. So Solution Metrix, who we are. So our mission is to drive digital transformation through change management and technological innovation. So that's what all we're about. So I live and breathe innovation. We're experienced in the insurance services and for broker and insurance provider, so both. And we've done that we've been around the block for a little more than 15 years. And we have a unique methodology and strategy to implement and enable organization to embrace the innovation that bring the change. So to change management, ROI, user adoption. So we're really not only a technical firm, but a business consultant firm to make sure that our customer achieve their business goals. So very, very briefly, so what do we do at 10,000 feet is we remove silos. So we're working on the data side to make sure we craft the 360-degree profile of our customers and brokers and all the constituents that we're working with. We're all about automation, so we want to free people's time, and we're all about innovation as well. So through center of excellence, no-code approach, governance, change management, etc. So that's Solution Metrix. Super pleased as well, like I said, to have Saskatchewan Blue Cross with us and Megan. So maybe you can briefly give an overview of SBC.
Yeah, you bet. Pleasure to be here and working with these two fantastic gentlemen who we've been partnering with for a while now at Saskatchewan Blue Cross. We are a core player in the Canadian insurance market. We serve both individual, personal people as well as our employer benefit group with insurance products in the health and wellness space. We have been around for 75 years and counting and have a real deep heartbeat into our local community here within the province of Saskatchewan. We're part of course, the larger Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association internationally, which has a massive footprint across a number of plans that operate within local geographies like ourselves, and a very long-standing commitment to furthering the health and wellness of people, and really putting sort of the people at the heart of what we do and thinking forward into the future and what that needs to look like is what we're here to talk about today. We partner with a number of different brokers, advisors, and consultants across the province and country to deliver these services to both employers as well as people, and of course to a ton of direct business as well, to individuals who are looking to purchase products. So we've got a number of different channels that we serve through, a number of different audiences that we collaborate through, a number of different partnerships that we serve, and like many industries out there, and financial services and insurance being two of the trickiest, I think, have a really long footprint of support with people. So we serve people quite literally from when they're born until they die, and trying to really understand their journey with us throughout that process in a very historically complex technological ecosystem is one of our biggest challenges across the industry. So we've been on this journey now for few years, and we've got a few more years ahead of us to really transform what we used to be. We came from a horrifically fragmented technological history where we've got systems upon systems upon systems upon systems that have grown up in this ecosystem that gets really complicated over time, and needed to find a different way forward to really put people at the heart of our processes in a different way and look towards the future with their needs in mind, and the future of what they want from us as a partner in the long term has evolved really dramatically. So we're on this multi-year journey to not only transform our systems, but transform our operations, our people, the way we look at things, and the way that we look at and work with to support the market at large. And it's a really fun journey to be on. And these two gentlemen on the screen have been along with us for the ride for a couple of years in one area that we're excited to tell you a little bit more about today.
Thank you so much, Megan. Thank you. And Eric, maybe a brief introduction to Creatio.
Yeah, of course. I always like to try to break things down into three. So we have three statements here about who Creatio is. We are a single platform to automate industry workflows and CRM, leveraging no-code technologies. So what does that mean, for our customers? It means that they have a single interface to manage all of their workflows, regardless of complexity, and the freedom to maintain change and stay ahead and innovate with the platform, because it doesn't require any coding or development skills. If you can draw it on a whiteboard, you can build it in the Creatio platform. We've been recognized in 5 Gartner Magic Quadrants as well as 7 Forrester Waves for our technology. And a good reason behind that is that final bullet point that you see there, genuine care. We are truly customer-centric in our approach. Making our customers successful makes us successful as a company. We're joining webinars like we are right here with Megan today. We're having customers that will go out and talk about the Creatio platform. So these are the 3 principles that we live by. We're a global organization headquartered here in Boston, Massachusetts, where I'm located. But we have operations all across the globe to serve the thousands of customers that have chosen Creatio as their platform of choice.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Eric. So let's go through our agenda. So first, we're going to talk about what's customer centricity. Then what's customer experience. We're going to talk about broker management. We're going to talk about streamlined process. Very important topic. Then, what you just allude to, Eric, is the first-class customer service. So the exceptional customer experience. And then we're going to talk about what a CRM for insurance providers, what it can look like on a, like you mentioned, a no-code platform. And how it changed to get started, what I call the flywheel of innovation. So when this start to go, it's hard to stop. So first, let's go into what's policy-driven versus customer-centric. So main topic of this webinar. We normally, or we've seen, unfortunately, lots of time where the policy will be in different system depending on the type of systems you have, but all the information is organized around a policy-driven systems and a policy-centric approach, where we're going to work by policy for an overarching customer that is, that could be difficult to retrieve and portrait the 360-degree profile. So when you change that mindset, and this I love this image. So ketchup, right? So same ketchup, same great ketchup that we have for years and years, but different customer experience. So we all experienced, the last drop of this ketchup on the first, on the left side of with that type of bottle. So when you listen to your customer, you change the way you engage with them. So this is what this image is representing. So being customer-centric versus policy-driven, it's not only your system, but as well as your mindset. It's your approach, it's your engagement. And you start to do things like customer onboarding and getting close to your customer and be proactive. So not only on the technical systems that you have. So, but when you start to look outside in, this is where you focus and your initiatives based on your customer needs. So you have it, and now in 2022, let me tell you that the technology is pretty dominant in what you can do in customer centricity, so which we're going to explore today. But the overarching goals of this are: listen to your customer, engage with them in a personalized way to transform the experience, to have better retention of and less churn of your customer base. And it starts from the first engagement when it's early in the sales cycle when they're shopping, up to the entire life cycle of your customer. So, you know, when we talk about policy versus customer centric, you know, the policy driven focus will be, you know, we're selling product, we're selling policy. This is what we're actually providing the customer. Which is true, it's just the delivery manner that is different. So, and Megan, you're better suited than me to speak about that. So I would like to hear you on what's customer-centric focus versus a policy-driven focus.
Yeah, it's an awesome question, and it really comes down to thinking about historically what we've done. We've been a transactional industry, right? Very much like the banking industry. Insurance also has this transactional focus. So you buy a policy from us, and then you process claims on it. We process those claims, we pay you back for them, we let you know what's not covered and what is covered. And it's this really transactional relationship that's threaded through every aspect of our business, every team that interacts with invoicing, claims processing, onboarding, handling, member experience centers, contact centers. They all have a very sort of history of this transactional focus. When you shift into that customer-centric view, much like the ketchup bottle, you kind of flip it on its head, right? So you're moving from that transactional thinking into a space and a place where you're thinking about, how do I understand your needs better? How do I make the experiences that we've got working throughout every touch point in our organization, drawing on this idea that with the knowledge I have about you, I can anticipate your needs. We can have participatory conversations about what you need in life that actually helps to enable a better health and wellness journey overall. We can use our insights to start to look at preventative care as opposed to this transactional reactive base where our industry has historically leaned into, where you know, if something happens or you need a solution or you need to get that tension out and you claim, what could we do to actually make you better? What could we do to arm you with from an insights and intelligence perspective to help you along that life journey? And really thinking about somebody's life state and where their needs are at. And like I said, we work with people from birth to death, and they go through these amazing series of milestone moments with us. And we know when they're happening. You know, you've left your parents' home, you've split off from a plan, you've now got your own. You're a student all of a sudden, you're on a student plan, you're going through that journey in life. You've partnered up and decided to get hitched, and you're on a partnered plan now. Or, you know, you've had a child and you're having your own baby and that family's growing. You've now got elder care that you're adding to your plan, and you're moving somebody through these really complex moments in our healthcare system that we have a lot of intelligence and knowledge to help you through if we paid attention to those insights and thought about our journey with you a little bit differently. So when you're shifting our organization from that transactional state to that really sort of anticipatory, preventative, participatory, needs-based approach, man, you're now starting to tap on what makes differences in people's life. And doesn't that make for a much more fun industry to be a part of? We're talking to you about, you know, health equity and what we can do to further that along. We're talking about benefits literacy and what you need to know in a very complex care path environment, and let's be honest, insurance is a very jargon-filled industry. So we've got a little bit of lower trust to overcome because we write these really complex contracts that don't need to be that complex when we think about what we service and do from that customer-centric approach. So that's really the difference, is moving from this transactional world to this place of understanding and needs anticipation to really shift the business model and the way you think about how you deliver service across your ecosystem.
Thank you so much. Fantastic answer. And here are different, you know, example of customer centricity, right, Megan? So maybe you can explain, yeah, exactly what it entails to for SBC.
Yeah, and you know, when you're headed down this path, and we started down this path at Saskatchewan Blue Cross from that really transactional place, and a big part of our journey has been to flip that on its head. And to do that well, you really do need to think about what you need to enable your business through, because this is a really people-centric move that you're making, and those people include your employees and how they need to operate, the tools they need behind them to be able to deliver a different experience. It includes those clients and members that you're servicing, and it includes the partners that you're working with. So whether those are brokers, advisors, or even just product partners that you've got in market that you're enabling service through, there's this big ecosystem that you need to think about. And at the heart of all of those is, how do I deepen the relationships with each of you? How do I interact with you in a way that makes your experience with me more insightful, adds value to that process, which in turn creates that loyalty, that sense of, I like working with you and you are a good partner to me. So we want to further and deepen that relationship in a world where that loyalty seems to be waning over time as we make it easier and easier for people to switch. And really shifting from those metrics of thinking around overall satisfaction and moving into a place where you're measuring differently and you're using tools in your systems to measure differently. And that can be, you know, down to listening to quality and coaching programs that you can integrate if you've got that holistic view of what somebody's experience feels like through your business. Ultimately, all of this comes back to faster, more efficient service, faster, more efficient processes for your employees to be operating to, and a lot different kind of conversation in your organization around what you're delivering and how you're serving. At the heart of all of that is, of course, a really great set of enablers. And you know, these are sort of those 4 areas that you really want to start thinking about when you start down that journey of customer centricity, and how it enables in different functions across your business, how those functions intersect, and how you can enable those intersections in a faster, more efficient, more insightful way for everybody to deliver a little bit differently around.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And then, you know, this for sure trickle down into better customer experience. So this will, you know, the customer centricity is an enabler for an extraordinary customer experience. So
yeah, absolutely, Seb. Absolutely, Seb. And the heart of you know, that customer-centric, member-centric, client-centric view really is your vision and strategy. That's at the crux of it. And you think about your employee experiences we've just been chatting about. You think about your tech stack. And in our particular experience, oh my goodness, I can share this, but I share this a little bit like this. We had our contact center operators at one point operating out of more than 30 different systems. Just imagine that. And I'm sure I'm not the only insurer out there who's had this experience, but 30 systems for somebody to operate in their day-to-day job servicing customers calling in. It's wild. We have administrators that are operating even today out of an ecosystem of plus 15 systems to provide onboarding and support services and policy service management. Really finding ways to hack that environment as you're transforming. And we know legacy tech takes a lot of time to overcome. That tech debt is real. Just about every organization out there, unless you're brand new, is paying some of that off. And it's big journeys to go down. It can be really costly journeys. Finding ways to knit those systems together can be absolutely powerful in an interim to unlock some of that value to get you to that customer-centric place. And it's pretty powerful to then be able to harness the data and the insights out of those different systems to personalize experiences, deepen those relationships, stop having members have to repeat themselves when they phone in and move between departments, because you've got better tracking and capability to have those really seamless handoff points across your organization, and a true journey-driven approach in your operations that you then sort of start to look at what the paths are that you need to operate by to make those employee experience and tech hacks, tech overlays, start to knit these systems together in a way where you're pathed to really be able to deliver relationship benefit and anticipate those needs, talk to people in advance, have those seamless handoff points, and really further what you can do in terms of that loyalty and growth engine in the long run.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. And so maybe I can talk about some of the broker management for insurers. So first, what's important as well is we all understand that the segmentation for more effective targeting. So we all have different types of brokers. So the segmentation is important. So we talk about customer centricity and customer experience. We can also talk about broker centricity and broker experience and engaging with them. So definitely, like we're doing for the customer, is also important on the broker side. So we also need to track the broker performance and identify areas where they can improve. So they're not equal. Some, just sometimes some question on the education, and we have those types of broker where they're really prudent and they don't want to share that much information on the end customer with you. We have those open brokers, so we're engaging in different ways with those. So, and as well, an integrated system, because that what really saves time for people who actually visit the broker, as well as the broker through a broker portal and those types of initiatives, is to provide the accurate data as well. So where they are, and especially in the, when we talk about the quoting process and stuff like this, is really, really important that we streamline this process. As well, a 360-degree view, that's very, very important for a complete profile and picture of all the interactions. And as well, be proactive, and save time by automating some of the process as well of the interaction, and being proactive in engaging with them as well. So this is for really the broker management for insurers. So and the opposite is true as well. So not the opposite, but the other component as well. So we're dealing as well with organizations that are brokers and will provide in the insurance field systems or different customer satisfaction and customer experience platform to actually manage their clients. So same thing as we're doing for what we're seeing the insurer is really important for the brokers. They own clienteling tools, so they have segmentation to be more effective at targeting, as well as the portfolio management. So when you provide your broker that, just okay, what's the complete portfolio? It's an important piece of the customer 360-degree profile. We talk things like household potential, succession, family, wealth management. So that's an important piece as well. The full complete view, and facilitating the interaction between the broker and the insurance as well. So the insurer and the broker, sometime they go and there's lots of sending this, receiving this, manual data entry here and there. So we have technologies in order to facilitate broker life and broker's life into getting automatically data from the big insurers and wealth management firms. So that's an important piece as well. And what's also a fundamental in all of this is the streamlined process. So maybe Eric, you can guide us with all your experience in the banking, financial services, and insurance about what entails having streamlined process.
Yeah, absolutely, Seb. So I think it breaks down into a couple of categories. When we talk about streamlined processes, the first thing we talk about is automation. How do we become more efficient in the way that we manage our processes? So we know that we just heard from Megan, there are disparate data sources that are out there, and we're collecting all of that data, and data needs to transfer amongst many stages in that particular process. So how do we automate that repetitive data that needs to happen again and again and again in that process? So taking that manual work, away from the human factor and automating that utilizing technology. So how do we streamline that process and automate what we can so that we become more efficient in the way that we manage the process? The other portion of that is really, building in, and we're talking about it, right? Customer-centric, building in and putting the customer at the center of every process that we have, right? What is going to be that benefit to that particular, customer? 30 different systems, a lot of organizations, they don't have a data problem. They have a how do we make that data actionable, problem. So being able to combine that and build that into our processes enables us to have those processes focused, on the customer. What is going to be, more beneficial for them? What is going to be the best experience that they could possibly have? Because at the end of the day, competition is coming from everywhere. I can buy a house online, I can get a mortgage, I can get my car. Really what's going to separate organizations is the experience that they're providing. And when you put the customer at the center of that and understand your customers and build that into your processes, that experience is going to be, better. And the benefit of automation and having the customer at the center of that is, we understand that workflow, we understand that process, what needs to happen next. So if we're looking at things like, how do we onboard a customer, or the underwriting process, or a loan origination process, or a claims management process, we understand that there are multiple stages within that workflow. So being able to create that workflow, understand what happens next in that procedure, and then being able to execute on that is really what streamlined processes are all about. So as we're onboarding, is there paperwork that can be automated? Is there communications that need to go out to that particular customer somewhere along that stage? And can we just build that into the process and have that completely automated? Another thing that we think about, we're talking about customer-centric, but this also helps from an employee-centric perspective as well. 30 systems is a lot to be accessing. Employees can be drowning in screens just to manage a single interaction. Well, if we can streamline that process and give a single user interface that is going to guide them through that process, remove all of the repetitive tasks, create the follow-ups, create the communications, that's going to lead to a better experience for your employees as well. Employees want to be able to take care of customers. They want to be able to meet their KPIs for the organization. It's our duty to equip them with the tools necessary to make that happen. So, it's going to lead to better employee experience, better customer experience, more efficient processes, and a better life for everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you, Eric. And what you're saying touches me, because one of the reasons I remember for 15 years ago, we decided to found Solution Metrix because there's so much gap between what actually some of the enterprise and businesses provide to their customer and employee versus what's available. That it's a tyranny for us. So we need to actually do something. And we facilitate a lot this process. Hopefully and humbly, but absolutely, the employee experience is really important, especially we're a severe lack of resources. So it's important. You have someone who books something on Uber and Airbnb and Amazon and come at work, and they have this system that looks like in the 80s. Oof. The thought process of saying, they don't innovate that much, start, and then, it's also now affecting the retention. So that's something that you're absolutely spot on. Also, you mentioned break the silos. So it's also a thing that is really important for us, because we understand. You said there's no shortage of data. You're so right. And the data, there's an assumptions, or false assumptions, I should say, that we need to have the data structure in the right way in order to be able to deliver great results. Yes and no, because right now in 2022, there's tools that even if you have unstructured data, so we're talking sometime with older mainframe AS400 through some spit out of a system that no problem. There's tools that actually helps you manage that to make sure you will still have what you need to deliver extraordinary customer experience. So that's an important aspect as well. So, because at the end, that's what we want. We want a first-class customer service. So delivering exceptionally great customer experience. So that's the one important thing that we need to deliver in an organization. So we need to identify a customer more easily. So it's funny. Just prior to this webinar, I was on a call with a big manufacturer, and they say, sometimes our customer call, and he doesn't have the exact model of what we done for him, so we don't know who it is. So there's tons of ways to fix that, because when you engage and someone calls you, at least you should be able to retrieve your customer. And it's not only when they inbound or call you in, or call in, but as well as be able to proactively identify, and Megan mentioned it earlier, the important milestones in their lifetime and engaging at the right moment. So as well is there's all sorts of tools of integrating all the systems around it for customer experience. So for example, the voice over IP or the phone system to be integrated, the customer interaction, and what we want is the customer churn to be reduced at minimal. So especially in the insurance industry, it's really the customer acquisition cost is pretty high. So I'm seeing, normally the first year, 18 months, it's a break even. So you want to actually keep your customer for years and years. So the retention and loyalty is super important. And if you're absolutely right, Megan, in what you're saying, I mean, you're always right, but that is exactly what we're hearing from others as well, is saying, if we're only transactional relationship, we're a commodity. If we're switching this, and again, that's the theme of today, from product centric to customer centric, this is where the magics and some of the great stuff start to happen, and we're going to the promised land. So let's get into a little more about, so we talked about the concept of it, and let's get into how we can enable this for the insurance industry. First, what's CRM for insurance provider? I think everyone on this call know what is a CRM. It's been around for years and years, so we're all aware of what a CRM structure now. But let's see about where it is in 2022, what traditional CRM has became. So first, we all talk about the lead generation and the assignation process, so that's a given. Now the machine learning and the AI comes in way more than the prior years. And what I like about modern CRM is customizing and adapting the machine learning for your use cases has become really easy. So it iterates from the no-code approach, so you can actually have lead scoring, prioritizing in an efficient way from machine learning. So, and too often the AI is not magic either. You need to have your machine learning right to have good AI, and to be able to give, I don't want to become too technical on the algorithm and the way to set that up, but there's tools to set up your machine learning right. And both in insurance have tons of data, insurers, but you can also leverage some of the public data to help you, if you have millions and millions of record, to actually have accurate prediction. So, but it has become something that organization can embed within their customer relationship strategy. Automation, we said it from the beginning, and it's not basic automation like we've seen, like an auto response. Is really crafting the experience that you want to go through. So we talked about onboarding as well. So that would be a great example of automation of the engagement. We talked about marketing campaign. We talked about marketing automation as well. So this complex nurturing that you want to embed into your platforms, that's also something that's happening right now. We say data analysis, insight, business intelligence, predictive analysis. That's also embedded now and part of the CRM experience. We talked about onboarding and the interaction, the engagement as well. So not only have they replied to my email, have they opened my email, did they came to my website, but looking at really all what we call the digital profile to get that into your customer relationship management system and your to really craft a digital experience. So we're seeing now, for example, I'm going on a website, there's dynamic part on the website based on my profile, my engagement, why I am not in your sales cycle, but in my purchasing cycle, what type of customer I have, what persona I am. So this is an example of how we're engaging and we're actually personalizing the engagement. And for sure, the customer satisfaction as a whole, from pointing different surveys, but as well on different channel. We talked about the omni-channel experience, so that this one is a good example where we interact with the customer in different ways, omni-channel, and then survey your people through an omni-channel. So an example again yesterday, we're demonstrating that. So we start a chat. Then there's a voice robot as well that's available. From the voice robot, we go through a human call, and then at the end there's an SMS and WhatsApp, and from Facebook Messenger. So really having this omni-channel experience is really, really important. So this is what the land of CRM looks like in 2022. So I wanted to mention that as an expert in CRM, only after 15 years. So, tracking audiences as well, really important. Segmentation, that's a key. And when we say segmentation, a good example is for years, we knew, and I was talking to some CMO, they say, yeah, we know very well our audiences and our personas. In today's world, it says, you know what? Let's get some AI to help you craft the audience based on some digital interaction, and you get totally different results. And by the way, every time we've done that, we had better results than preconceived audience based on some generic demographic. So that's another way to be really interactive and personalize the engagement. We're talking about designing targeting marketing campaign, again, from this digital profile and the traditional profile as well, and the intent and the behavior. Okay, so there's tools, by the way, so I know there's tons of Big Brother stuff, and where we can see what people are looking for on the internet. So we call that the intent. So as you see your customer or your prospect in your CRM, you can actually, what's the intent? What they're doing, all over the internet relatively to your field. So that's something that's also available in 2022. So, and what I want to also, Megan, I want your feedback on what CRM for insurance industry and how you see it from you're a real practitioner, in the insurance industry. So I would like to have your feedback.
Yeah, for sure. So I think it's sort of been touched on a little bit already, but I'll harken back to a few points. CRM for insurance space really adds a ton of additional relational value to every stage of the process that you go through with somebody's experience with you. So Seb had talked about the need to nurture, right, those leads and really understand where to focus those sales efforts and that energy, and to help keep people warm and interested in deepening their interest as you get through to that binding point, and being able to elevate your delivery in that space saves you a ton of invested dollars when it comes to your marketing strategy and your resourcing strategy when it comes even to your outbound sales programs. Once you've moved through the bind process, hopefully as automated as Eric was talking about as possible, so that you're not just reducing the friction of the experience for people, but also reducing potential errors in your own ecosystem and really upping that quality. You've then moved into a space where you can automate their onboarding. And you know, it was mentioned the world of the Uber, the Airbnb, the Amazon. We want everything at a click. And depending on your behavior, you might want to talk to somebody over the phone for a heartbeat of that experience or the whole experience. And you might not want to talk to anybody at all, but you do want it fast. No matter what situation or channel you're using, you want that experience to be really fast and efficient. And that policy covering you from T-minus 2 hours ago, is that cool? So being able to speed and automate those journeys is huge. But the nurturing in our new world doesn't stop at that pre-sales moment. It actually takes you through to a lot of those value-added, sticky retention loyalty pieces of our journey. We're harnessing those insights about people, their behavior, how they interact with you, where they're at in their life journey with you, how many different kinds of policies they've held with you, and even if they've moved employers between that time that they've been on or off a personal plan with you in their life is huge. And being able to provide some proactive content, supportive preventative care, wellness direction, anything, not overstepping the big brother, but using it for good, really adds to that loyalty and retention journey over time, and helps get you to a really effective and efficient relationship that you can take that one final step further in our ecosystem to really fine tune through a lot of that survey capability and functionality CRM provides, the quality monitoring that CRM provides across all of the different departments you've got utilizing CRM to really know where to hone and target experience journey improvements next. So to make that best investment for your organization, you got to be able to see where the pain is. Those pain points are a gift. And this helps to unlock where to focus some of that energy to really get the best bang for your buck in each next piece of your journey that you look to optimize, and to make sure you're focusing on the right kinds of pain opportunity and not the wrong kind of pain opportunity that's a large investment for low return. Might not actually get you the user informed support that they want. And really that kind of takes it back to where the holistic CRM approach can unlock, you know, what you see up on screen here for everybody, which is that improved experience and stickiness, that profitability, and certainly the stronger employee experience, which we've all touched on. Your people are everything, and you've got to make that experience strong and really enabled for them. And that streamlined process and productivity is so much beyond what it sounds like there. It's your employee experience, the culture that you're breathing into your organization.
Perfect. Thank you, Megan. And maybe we can, dive into, what has been the journey for you? What this look like? You talk about, the holistic CRM experience which I've done together, but just to give people an idea of what this looks like in a timeline way or fashion.
Yeah, you bet. So we when we went on our modernization journey, wanted to move fast. So speed was one of the biggest factors that we looked at, along with a need for strong partners in a space that allowed us to really quickly implement, but also quickly innovate afterwards. So the no-code, low-code approach was really key for us in terms of a partnership, because we wanted to be able to internally evolve. Once we actually got core elements of the system in place, we wanted our own users, our own super users across all our departments and teams to be able to hone, refine, and evolve and make micro improvements to everything that we're doing on an ongoing basis with some ease. So speed and that partnership approach that enabled internal innovation evolution were the three sort of core tenets that we were looking at. We started our journey with, as I was saying, kind of a tricky ecosystem where we had two core platforms and lots of ancillary systems all over the place that provided a lot of that as data points that Eric was speaking to. And we started in late 2019, specifically looking at enabling our direct sales, so our personal plan sales to the B2C market and managing that process more effectively. That moved real fast into sales process automation, which is still ongoing today. We're constantly evolving, tweaking, and moving in a really fluid way how we optimize onboarding, how we learn from those different nurturing efforts that we're putting into place, improving our buy flow overall through even the intelligence that we put into place just a couple of years ago. We've since innovated beyond that from that first implementation. We then moved into the partner management space, so looking at our broker management space and how we can better enable them with insights on their portfolios with us, their pipelines with us, have different kinds of conversations with them around where things are tracking and trending or at renewal timeframes and even status of application state with some of our business operations. Our customer service ecosystem came as a fast follow to that. So as soon as we had some of our direct business sorted, our sales and broker profile sorted, we moved into the servicing side of our ecosystem and brought on our contact center, some of our underwriting team, and some other support elements to the fray in that Q3 2020 timeframe. And then we moved it out of our one ecosystem and into our other and started building the support engine around our employer based business, so our B2B business. And that was transformative. We took literally everything out of fragmented emails and individual contributor inboxes into a holistic space where we could start quality coaching, looking for trends, understanding our client behavior differently, understanding super users and light users of our client experience teams, and really starting to optimize some of that quality targeting for future journey investments from that piece of work. It was a huge enabler for us to centralize intelligence, move from a state of fragmented knowledge sharing to centralized knowledge sharing, where everybody has access to see how you solved something for a client before, and they don't necessarily have to pull somebody off the phone to get those answers. They've got a different way to solve for them than they had previously. We continue to automate sales processes in that particular streamline. Majoritively for us at that point in the journey, it was on our pipeline management area in our group ecosystem. So really unlocked the power of empowering your sales teams through personalized dashboarding, understand where their pipeline's at, understanding where the total team pipeline's at so that they can contribute and dig in differently, and presenting a whole bunch of different self-monitoring tools for them to also work with our group broker ecosystem. We moved from there into some work with lead management and additional enhancements in our contact center environment. So starting to add more value by bringing our fragmented marketing systems and those automation value add systems into this ecosystem. So you've got the one-stop shop for people to operate in. So that was the moment we started to bring in more of our marketing and communications teams into the environment. And now we're moving towards a point where we're going, okay, so what else do we do? And we're working on enabling some customized workflows now for mobile service delivery for our folks in field, so that they don't have to be tied to a laptop to get the workflows moved or to respond or to move quotes and renewal processes through. It's now getting into a space where we can do that, you know, off of your smartphone on the road, wherever you happen to be. So we're now in that part of our journey, and we're not done. We got a long way still to go, but these projects are ones where it feels so enormous when you start the journey, and you've got to start somewhere and just really start to, as quickly as you can, understand where you unlock the most value next as you path that journey forwards. And so that's a little bit about the journey we were on, how we broke it down into some more bite-sized pieces for the organization to manage through. And you know, I think the one thing I would say to the benefit of the team on the call, the partnership we were looking for was there. We had people that were part of our team during this implementation. They felt like part of the family, worked really cohesively, were there as a support network for all of our users who had questions along the go. And that's what we really wanted in terms of an implementation approach, was somebody who could get into our business, learn our business, become part of our team with us, understand where the problems were to help solve, to bring external eyes and thoughts into what you're doing, to question the things you don't even think to question.
Absolutely. And I remember at the beginning in, end of 2019, the agile concept was at the early stage at SBC. So, and we could, it's 2 years later, we're looking at that and say, wow, we really progressed, in an agile way through all of those initiatives. So, thank you so much, Megan. And Eric, maybe another example we can give. So again, the goal is for people on this webinar to grasp, when we say agile, what do we mean? Is going by milestone, and so that's another example at End Credit Union that it's on the banking side, but same thing on the financial industry. So complex system, complex that you simplify to enable to move forward without having the complexity of a big 2-year project versus multiple 1-quarter project. So that's the mindset we're in, right, Eric?
Yeah, absolutely, and very similar in the use case, right? Like it's they're members, not customers to them, right? So they're invested in the outcomes, right, for their members. Yeah, you may be their health outcomes. This is their financial outcomes, right? So it's all focused on where can we iterate quickly to provide better outcomes for our customers. We got started in our journey with End in a very interesting way. So you see there, it's indirect member acquisition. So End's just a little history on them. They're the largest auto loan provider in the state of Colorado, where they operate. They're also one of the top, I think, 25 credit unions here in the U.S. So they had a specific use case that they started with. There was a challenge, right, for these indirect members that got their auto loan. They knew they had their auto loan through End Credit Union. However, they didn't realize that they became a member of that credit union as they went through. So the challenge that they were having is, they get their auto loan, then they were getting a lot of inquiries, right? Like, how do I make my first payment? Can I set this up to be auto withdrawn from my account? And it just created an experience where people had to keep following up on how to get engaged with the credit union. So we were able to, and they wanted to resolve that very quickly. They had a very tight time frame when they engaged this. They needed a solution that was going to be up and running in 3 months. So being able to leverage, the no-code process automation capabilities of the Creatio platform enabled them to streamline a process. We talked about those streamlined process. So when that indirect member got their auto loan, it triggered a process, right? There was a welcome letter. There was a phone call that said, hey, let me help you set up how to get auto withdrawal. Taking it beyond that, now we start to look at them as a true member and understanding them. Hey, by the way, did you know that, because you have your auto loan through End, you also qualify for, mortgages, credit cards, deposit accounts, all of the different products that, the credit union had to offer. So they were able to get, this project up and running in under, 3 months, which was an amazement of the rest of the credit union. So you can see all of these different milestones. So, the sales and marketing team, how can we leverage this to manage our leads better? How do we, service organization, how do we leverage this tool to create, more streamlined interactions as we're supporting our members and creating a better experience for them? So, what started as a very specific use case for End, slowly grew across the entire organization to become their entire member engagement platform. So anybody that interacts with one of their members is leveraging Creatio. So now, Megan had mentioned life events, right? So now they understand their members even better. Oh, you just had a child. Maybe you need a college savings plan for that child. Oh, you're getting close to retiring. Maybe we talk about investment services. Or you're just graduating college. Maybe we need a mortgage. Maybe you're thinking about getting your first home at that point. So really understanding their members and being able to target them with messaging that is specific to them and being able to guide them through that journey creating better outcomes for them as that engagement continues. And as you see, similar to Megan, it's an ongoing story, right? They're finding more and more and more use cases where they can streamline and create better experiences, both for their members, but also for their employees. The same type of thing, Seb, you mentioned. You think of a financial institution, you've got core banking systems, lending systems, card systems, you name it, all kinds of different systems that is pulling in customer data. So, their employees were managing through, multiple screens just to get information. Well, now it's all streamlined. It's all in a nice, easy to use interface for their employees. They've got happy employees, which lead to happy members.
Excellent. And all of that, and those are great stories. And like I said, it's touching me personally because that's one of the goal is what we call a roadmap. So we build this roadmap, and then through an agile, iterative approach, we progress to that. So we could never have started. So you start with the vision, begin with the end in mind, right? But we start slowly. So for change management purposes, for user adoption purposes, and what I really like about Creatio, the platform, is this no-code approach where we can say, we don't need a big IT project that will be 2 years long before we start to see something. So, and maybe Eric, you can guide us through what means no code for Creatio and what it means and how it enables people to be way more agile and nimble.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, we mentioned at the beginning of the call that, Creatio is truly a single platform that's going to allow you to automate your workflows. And also you'll see that we built a best-in-class CRM utilizing that platform. So you can leverage that technology across multiple workflows, but you don't necessarily need to be a coder or rely on heavy IT resources to manage change, to implement quicker, and to automate faster. So we'll look into each one of these components a little deeper. So when we think about CRM, we've built applications for marketing, sales, service, all on our Studio Creatio platform. So all of this was developed leveraging our no-code technology. And when we say single platform or one platform, it really is a single user interface, a single set of customer data that is flowing across all three of those functions. But really what brings it together is what you see at the foundation there, our Studio Creatio. That is really where we are enabling what we would call citizen developers, right? So I don't need to understand a programming language. I don't need to be a developer. If I understand how I want my process and my workflows to operate, I can build that utilizing drag and drop if and then conditions. So that's what we built our CRM product on. Again, highly recognized by industry analysts at Forrester and Gartner. But on top of the CRM, we've also created for 20 different industries, industry-specific workflows, including workflows for the insurance industry. So, is that underwriting? Is it onboarding? If you think about all of the different processes and workflows that insurance industry has to follow, we have those out of the box, ready to go. But not only are they, we're forcing you to, hey, here's a workflow, but you can modify that workflow very easily. What we're hoping for is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time that you need to implement an industry workflow. You can leverage what Creatio has out of the box and then modify it utilizing that same no-code technology to meet your specific business needs. So therefore, you're not changing your work to fit the technology. The technology is changing to meet your specific business need.
Thank you so much, Eric. So I know we're on the top of the hour. you know, it was passionate today, so lots of passion. So we, you know, if you have any question, please feel free to add it to the chat. I don't think we'll have time to answer them, but please, we're gonna leave the chat open. So have your question there. We will contact you with the answer. But to be respectful on everyone's calendar, the chat will remain open, but I really want to thank everyone. Thank you so much, Megan. And thank you, Eric, for being part of this webinar.
Yeah, Sebastien, always a pleasure. Megan, pleasure to see you as well.
Pleasure. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.